Consideration and action pertaining to a rezone of approximately 42.92 gross acres from planned area development and rural residential to community commercial C2 and residential high density R3 for a site generally located on the northeast corner of 163rd Avenue and Joe Max Road, case FS23-0552.
Good evening, Leslie.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. The item before you is the Desert Arroyo rezone. Can you hear me? The case number is FS23-0552. The site is generally located on the northeast corner of 163rd Avenue and Joe Max Road. The entitled Visara and Nobella are to the north and the east sides of the site. This slide gives a little background to the area. Aside from this current review, the Legacy Village PAD was approved in 2006, and we annexed the property into the city in 1988. The current zoning is a combination of rural residential and Legacy Village PAD. The underlying zoning for the PAD is commercial. Parcels to the north are RL5 with a PUD overlay. Parcels to the east are R2, to the south, County RU43 and Desert Oasis PAD with an underlying zoning of R3, and the parcel to the east is zoned in the county. The proposed zoning aligns approximately 13.3 acres of C2 with Joe Max, and the remainder of the site is zoned R3 with a 475 unit cap to allow for a multi-family development. A final plat application is being processed concurrently with this rezone. This exhibit shows the overlay of the proposed zoning with those new parcels that are currently being reviewed. The site lies within the general plan's neighborhood character area. Higher intensity residential uses and supporting commercial are encouraged along arterial roadways. This table represents the LDO development standards for R3. The 475 unit cap will put the density around 17.7 dwelling units per acre. So they will be using that 15 plus guide there. These are our current C2 development standards. I do want to note that the maximum size for a commerce center in this zoning district is 20 acres. The slide shows developed and undeveloped commercial properties in close proximity to the site. The light blue color are those that are currently vacant. We were also provided with a conceptual site plan with this application. There are both 3/4 and half access points along 163rd Avenue. Two driveways from Joe Max Road provide a 3/4 access into the Commerce Center and full access into the multifamily development. A citizen outreach meeting was held on September 13th. There were 31 people in attendance. The concerns expressed were over increased traffic, water supply, light pollution, and wildlife corridors. This case meets LDO requirements for a rezone application, so city staff has approved the rezone application subject to stipulations A through E. This concludes my presentation. The applicant has also prepared a presentation.
Thank you. Let's hear the applicant presentation before we open it up to public hearing.
Okay. This one? Okay. Hello, Jeff Bliley, Gilbert Bliley, 701 North 44th Street, here on behalf of the applicant. I appreciate your time. I've got a presentation as well. We're just going to go over the rezone case that we're asking for. Some of the slides you've seen will be from duplicative of what you've seen already. The property, as was pointed out, currently has some commercial zoning within the Legacy Village PAD. PAD. It was kind of a remnant parcel. If you're familiar with that old PAD, it had some residential, which Pulte has purchased and now is part of Asara. And this kind of odd-shaped piece was kind of what they had left, and they just kind of zoned it commercial under the PAD back in 2006 without a lot of thought, and it's kind of sat like that ever since. So what we've done is my client is purchasing all of the property, and what we're doing is reconfiguring the commercial to make it much more developable. The parcel in the back, as you can see, this parcel 4 back there being off the corner, is not a very developable commercial parcel at this particular intersection for this type of use. And so with the reconfiguration that we've provided, what you now have is about 13, 14 acres of commercial that we're proposing. You've got the Circle K site on the corner, which is another 3 to 4 acres, which brings you right into that 16, 17 acre commercial site, which is exactly what you want for a neighborhood center at this particular location. And as was pointed out, we're at the intersection of 2 major arterials, 163rd and Joe Max, which is very appropriate for this. And given that the Fry's is located, just south of here, this wouldn't be the typical kind of large grocery store anchored type of shopping center. It really is going to be a neighborhood type shopping with medical offices, restaurants, potentially like an Aldi's type of smaller grocer, and the type of service you'd see at a neighborhood level, really to serve the folks that kind of live in that area. We then propose to wrap that with higher density residential, which again, per the general plan, is exactly what you'd want to see at the intersection of 2 major arterials. You'd want to see your higher density there that provides the buffer to the densities that are happening behind it. And north of this, as you're familiar with, Visara, which is more of a smaller lot, single family subdivision, and that 4 to 6 dwelling units per acre. Then to our east is the Nobella project, which is all zoned R2 and R3, and probably is coming in variety of products in that 6 to 15 dwelling units per acre. So this provides exactly the kind of buffer you want to see traditionally at this kind of arterial intersection. This is a conceptual site plan that we did start processing with the zoning case, but kind of pulled back on it so we can get the zoning approved. This shows about 135,000 square feet of commercial that's located there with, in the middle, you've kind of got 2-story offices on top, shops on the bottom, various pads for restaurants and that type of use, and then wrapped with a 2-story townhome product that could be either for rent or for sale. It could go either way, but it would be, and we've capped the density at 475 units, so you'd see it about 17 units to the acre. As we point out, commercial, we think with this reconfiguration, we've had a lot of interest in this commercial site. We've already started marketing it. We're not a commercial developer, but we haven't started marketing it. And one of the things they like about this commercial is now that it's a rectangle that fronts onto the arterials, they like that. And then they also like the proposal for the density around it when you start wrapping the commercial with the density where that you get that mass of people that want to use the center. That makes the site much more attractive from a commercial development standpoint. As I pointed out, we have the Visara to the north, Nobella to the east of us. It's been pointed out. This is just a slide that, it does show that everything that we've said is very consistent with the general plan from a location standpoint, from a use standpoint. As they pointed out, 20 acres is kind of the most you can do of commercial in this type of area. We're right on par there. So we know that we had a neighborhood meeting. It was a point about 31 people showed up, pretty much all opposed to the project. I'm sure you're going to hear some opposition tonight to the same project. As we all know, those that are opposed to projects tend to be more vocal and more willing to show up at hearings. So what we did is we did some neighborhood outreach. We went into the closest neighborhood, which is Desert Oasis, just to our west, and we went door to door and just knocked on doors. We were able to, we knocked on 620 doors and were able to get 251 people to actually open the door and talk to us. We presented them with the zoning case that you've seen tonight, that conceptual plan, a letter that lays out exactly what we're doing, commercial and multifamily, and 57% of the people that we spoke to supported the project. We got 155 letters of support, and the people in the area are aware of traffic, which I know is going to come up. It's one of the big issues in this area. but they're also clamoring for neighborhood commercial services. And that's what this center, where it's located, is going to provide that. And so there was a 21% were undecided, and we had about 20% opposed. And the opposition was, we typically hear, is traffic, crime, property values, and the like. This just shows that we are farther north than some of the other projects you've seen. We're up on Jomax, so there's really two major access areas into the site. One being 163rd down to Grand, the other being Jomax over to Dysart over to Happy Valley. So there's two very legitimate, paved, fully functional access points into the site. Given that traffic is the big issue, what we did is we had a second. We've done two traffic impact analysis, which again the city reviewed and has found compliant with all city codes and processes. That's why we're here today with the recommendation that you got from staff. But what we wanted to do was point out that, and we know traffic's an issue. We know that that's been an issue. We know traffic at Grand and 163rd is an issue, and one of the reasons it's an issue is because everybody that lives up there has to leave the area for the most part to get services. And so we had our project analyzed at a build-out level. And what happens is when you build the whole project out, the commercial is going to draw about 5,000 trips a day into the commercial. The residential is going to generate about 3,200 trips a day. So those 5,000 trips, those people aren't coming from Bell and Reams. They're not coming from Sun City Grand. This is a neighborhood commercial center. It's serving Desert Oasis. It's serving Asante. It's serving Rancho Mercado. It's serving Saguaro Acres and Saguaro Views. It's serving the county residents out there. It's a neighborhood commercial. You're pulling people to this site that don't have to go to 163rd and Grand to get their services. And so at the end of the day at build-out, you see actually a net reduction of about 1,800 trips per day hitting Grand and 163rd Avenue. So I've been around Surprise, this is Michael, and I read it, for about 20 years, living and working in Surprise. And for the last 50 years, Surprise has been building single-family homes. That's all it's been building for most of its history. And I know you've seen a lot of applications recently for multifamily. But it's really as Surprise evolves into a kind of a city, a true live workplace city, that you're seeing this diversity of housing options that are coming around. And so you're seeing a lot more applications now than we've ever seen because we're so far playing catch up. And so, this housing diversity we're seeing in all these bedroom communities, Goodyear, Buckeye, Surprise, they're all seeing it. But if you look at a city like Phoenix, where the housing mix from single family to multifamily is like 70-30 mix. And Surprises, they correct me, but it's probably like 95-5 or 97. It's really out of balance. And so that's why you're seeing so many more of these type of projects come now, given that plus the housing cost prices. And this is just the kind of product that's meeting that demand. So I know there's been other applications in the area for this type of product. This particular location is the best location for them. And it really does help support and make everything vibrant at that corner where we want it to be. Traffic, as I mentioned, is a big issue. I mean, I know it's an issue. As I mentioned, I've been here a long time, and Surprises, if you go back, Surprise as a city basically at one point had one way in and one way out. It was kind of Bell Road. And the way you solve that problem is you start providing the services and the jobs to the people that live in Surprise. They don't have to leave Surprise and generate more traffic, and they can kind of stay there and get what they need in the city, because for so many years, even when I lived here, there was very limited opportunities for services in the city Surprise. And if I wanted anything, I had to go to Glendale or wherever I had to go. And so that's kind of the same way it is in Spa too. They're having to leave. And the way to make that situation better, and the city's working on it from a transportation standpoint. The bond passed recently that allowed some 163rd Avenues getting improved. There were some interim improvements that were done to Grand and 163rd recently that I saw myself have made quite a bit of, they really helped the situation a lot just in that short period of time. And they're also working on long-term solutions regarding interchanges at Grand and interchanges at Litchfield. So they're working that end, which at the same time, you got to work the other end, which is you got to start providing those services up there so people don't have to leave the area in order to get what they need. Lastly, since water was an issue, I just wanted to make it clear that we're working with the city on the water situation as well. The Desert Oasis Water Campus is the campus that will serve this project. We've already committed to participating in that to pay for and secure the water needed for this project. So we're doing that and moving forward with that as we speak. So we just hope that you can support this project. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. This item does require a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. Alyssa, do we have anyone wishing to address the commission on this item?
Yes, Chair Holland, we have 5. So I'll call up the first is Dodge Marshall.
Good evening, ma'am. Could you please state your name and your address for us, please?
Good evening, Dodge Marshall 26508 North 160th Drive, Surprise 85387. And I wrote this down because I felt that if I didn't write it down, you'd just hear a bunch of angry nonsense from me, and I didn't want that to happen. So, in addition to the obvious traffic situation issues, I want to address the fact that it appears as if the city of Surprise is showing extreme prejudice against those who move to the area in question with the desire of living a more rural lifestyle. The city of Surprise and its council seems intent on swallowing the desert landscape with swarms of homes, and now wants to drop a bombshell in the middle of our rural lifestyle by placing a misguided strip mall and apartment houses in the middle of it. Just like the owner of the land for sale, whom I do not begrudge trying to get the most bang for their buck, the property was zoned rural when they bought it. Would it kill you to leave some open space for our community? Would it not be more prudent for the city to locate a strip mall and a townhome in an area more conducive to this type of lifestyle? Let the city of Surprise be known for its diversity by allowing more homes to be built on some 1-acre parcels in lieu of what is planned today. It will show good faith to those who currently feel they are under siege from the encroachment of all the areas already rezoned to high density. I also understand that if these proposed changes take place, Joe Max will be modified to 4 lanes, and the entrance to the new living spaces will be on 160th Drive. My home sits 1 home away from Joe Max on 160th Drive. I don't appreciate having a strip mall or apartment complex right across the street from my property. My home sits 1 home away. Due to all the changing in the last 3 years, my sense of lifestyle has been taken away from me bit by bit. If the proposed plan goes forward, the traffic from 163rd and from Joe Max will be detrimental to me. I will never again have any peace, and I am begging you to not rezone at this time. Not commercial, not high density. There are already 30,000 homes or more being built and considered within a 2.7-mile radius of Grand Avenue, which encompasses my home. Enough is enough already. Enough. Homes. Unlike those that seek out cramped community living and purchase their home here, I did not buy my home on acreage with the knowledge that the city of Surprise would engage in rezoning every stitch of land surrounding me. It is a form of bait and switch, in my opinion, as I now do not have the same luxury moving anywhere else. Therefore, I oppose the rezoning of site case FS23-0552 from rural residential to high density or commercial. Thank you.
Thank you. And I failed to note, and I should have said it earlier, we're going to keep comments to 3 minutes. Alyssa, who's next?
Joe Monsauer.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good afternoon. Joe Mansour, 16570 West Questa Drive. Thank you for your time, Commissioner, members of the Commission. I am angry. You know why I'm angry? Because I was the one who put the city meeting in the library, and 300 residents showed up. You know why they showed up? Because the old man can get out when he has a heart attack because of the traffic. In my way here, I took picture of the traffic. I'll be more happy to share with you. The traffic is backed up all the way from 163 all the way to these people's homes. I am angry. You know why I'm angry? Because this developer, did he ask any of our question? He went and solicited several hundred people to approve. You have hundreds of letters. The same letter and some of the signature that will be turning in to Department of Justice and the Arizona Attorney General, some of the signatures seems to be the same person. Did he come to us and said, hey, what do you guys think about these apartments? No. He went and solicited. We only printed because Sherry ran out of ink printing all the letters. Where all these letters came from? Where's the addresses? We'll find out when Attorney General for the state of Arizona look into this, because I can assure you we'll be filing a complaint tomorrow morning. I am angry. He says everybody has to go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. Come over there and look for yourself. Don't believe anything we say. We met with the city, which is not an honest broker, because they sat with me and Rebecca and they told us one thing and they did another thing. Where all this? Why the Councilman Haney himself sending this letter to Lloyd? Why didn't they come to us and said, hey, do you guys have any objection to this? Don't we count? I retired as a law enforcement officer after 22 years serving this community. And you know what made me put the meeting together for the 300 people? When the 63 years old who had a heart attack, it takes him 30 minutes to get to a hospital. Don't believe anything we say. Go drive over there at 7:30 in the morning and see what we put up with every morning. Don't believe anything we say. Don't believe that builder, that the city give my numbers and my address to the lawyer for the builder. How did the lawyer for the builder call me? Where did he get my number, sir? Because the city took my email opposing these projects, both of them, and handed them over to the lawyer with a lot of money. Shame on you. I have 22 seconds. All I can tell you, sir, put yourself in my spot. I don't go to work every day. I work from home, but my neighbor do. The elderly people do. The elderly people that ask me to take and step this. I don't work. Some of you guys know I work out of the house. I travel 62 times a year. When I travel now, I make sure my flight is not during traffic time. Shame on the city. You should be ashamed of yourself. And don't give my number to your builder, the people that are feeding your pockets.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Alyssa, who's next?
Rebecca Massey.
For the record, my full name is Rebecca Massey.
Can I get your address too, ma'am?
I'm invoking my 4th and 14th Amendment rights to privacy and not publicly listing my address out of fear and concern for my family's safety and my own personal safety.
Do you reside in the area?
I do. I reside in the North Copper Canyon developments.
Okay.
And some of you may know me or recognize me from my efforts under the Grand Failure site, the Change.org petition. And I have been not only on local news and in local papers, but also was recently quoted in the Arizona Republic article by Sean.
Go ahead and proceed with your statement, ma'am.
Okay. So I am addressing the commission this evening in opposition of agenda item FS23-0552 for the rezoning of 163rd and Jomax. This request for the plot of just shy of 43 acres, known as Desert Arroyo, to move from rural residential to commercial and R3 high density is absolutely appalling. This rezoning, should it be approved, is 475 units of multifamily housing dwellings. According to Census Bureau statistics, the city of Surprise averages 2 vehicles per household. That's almost 1,000 additional vehicles down the already dangerous corridors of 163rd Avenue and Grand Avenue. And that is not acceptable. Those corridors of road are already exceptionally dangerous. Our schools are already overcrowded. Emergency services cannot respond to calls in a timely fashion. And quite honestly, to echo the sentiments of my predecessor speaking up here, Joe Mansour, those letters, I have already investigated a small percentage of them, and the signatures of those individuals that are on those pieces of paper, which again are form letters that were printed out clearly to lead the witness, as it were, to use a legal terminology, and provide a signature of individuals who do not, based on public records, live in the area. That is falsified documents and absolutely false information. I urge the commission to deny this rezone application and cease any and all future requests for denser residential rezoning applications and commercial developments that are going to continue to compound the traffic issues along 163rd Avenue and the Grand Avenue and Loop 303 corridors of road, and also along Deer Valley roads. Just to quote a few safety statistics, if you look at traffic fatalities in the city of Surprise. From 2022 till about 3/4 of the year through 2023, fatalities were up 300%. The fire station, which serves the area, FS23-0552, has an average response time of 7 minutes and 7 minutes and 45 seconds, and then the 90%, which is where you drop the bottom and top 5%, is 10 minutes and 51 seconds. For those of you who are unaware, fires double in size every 30 seconds, and if somebody is in the middle of a cardiopulmonary event, every minute that individual does not receive CPR, their life expectancy drops by 10%, according to the American Heart Association. We do not deserve, as members of this community, to have to deal with a life and death situation every single day with this traffic. And how many more constituents is the city going to allow to perish until enough is enough? We are not expendable. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Alyssa, do we have anyone else?
Karen Coate.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Karen Coate. My address is 16050 West Bermuda Lane. I'm actually on county land, which is right off of 160th Drive. The developer never came in our neighborhood with his statement saying, do we want this there or do we not? Granted, we are county, but we are literally right across the road from it. The street itself, if I remember correctly, with the new bond passing, I believe a street light's going to be right at the end of my street, which I don't think is pretty fair. It's crazy out there. Even on Joe Max, part of that land is county. I know county and Surprise are working together on expanding that road. But as a resident of Arizona and the county, I've had no say in a lot of this. I've been going to all these meetings, asking questions. I know we need to, I'm not against development, but you're right there in residential area. You're surrounded by homes. Now you're going to put commercial. I don't even know the apartments. I thought I seen something that's going to be 3 stories high. Now you're blocking views for people that we've bought out there for this ruralness. Also, you're going to also see, he was saying that just the residents in the area are going to be using this. You got to remember Whitman and Wickenburg, they use 60 all the time. They're not to go into downtown Surprise to do their business. They're most likely going to come into 163rd and start using those services there because it will be closer, which is going to bring in more traffic. That is all I have to say. I am opposed to this. Thank you for your time.